Hey everyone, welcome back to another Clean With Me video. Today's Clean With Me is a little bit different as I'm doing a quick clean before my guests arrive later on today. As you may remember from my other videos, I usually break up my cleaning into 2 or 3 days. I find this to be more manageable with how busy life is. The last few weeks we've been having a lot of guests come over, so I've been keeping the house a little extra clean, and so I just needed to do a little spruce up to get the house ready for my family that was coming from out of town. We love to feed whoever comes to visit our house. It's one of our love languages, and so before I started cleaning, I thought I would get started on making a sourdough bread so I could let that rise overnight and then we could enjoy a freshly baked bread in the morning for breakfast. This is a new recipe that I'm trying, where I'm measuring out the ingredients with a kitchen scale instead of measuring cups. Usually this is a more precise way of baking, and so I've been loving this little kitchen scale that I had bought off of Amazon. It was relatively inexpensive and it's super light and compact and accurate. It always amazes me what instant difference it makes just by simply clearing out the countertops and then wiping them down. I feel like it's an instant facelift to the house. I then cleared out the drying rack to make room for the dishes I was about to wash. I don't like to put everything in the dishwasher. There's certain items like bowls or chunkier items that take up too much space in the dishwasher, so I'll usually just wash those by hand. Also, I've heard that knives thaw out quicker in the dishwasher versus washing them by hand, so I'll usually wash those as well by hand. And so I'll go through whatever is in the sink and put whatever I can put in the dishwasher, and then I'll wash the rest by hand. Also, things that have some kind of print or design on them, like a kid's cup or the kid's lunchbox that has a design on it, I find the designs fade much quicker in the dishwasher, so anything that has a print on it, I'll wash by hand just to preserve the print a little bit longer. In the morning, I made banana pancakes for the kids' breakfast, and I always use this reversible flat griddle. It's perfect if you want a big surface to make a large batch of eggs, pancakes, French toast. I've even made burgers and grilled cheese on this. It's a great size, it cleans up easily, and it's a great option if you don't have access to an outdoor grill. After I finish doing the dishes, I like to wash the sink as well. Not that I necessarily enjoy doing this, but I do like to have a clean sink. I have to say I get easily grossed out when I touch wet food or other things in the sink, so wearing thick gloves not only protects my hands from drying out, but it also helps to do the dishes and clean the sink in a much more comfortable manner. When I'm cleaning the sink, I will usually either use powdered Tide, baking soda, or the liquid form of Barkeeper's Friend. You just have to keep in mind that with all of these, you need to make sure you're rinsing the sink really well afterwards, because they do tend to leave a residue if you don't. What also helps is using a clean microfiber cloth just to wipe everything down, and then this minimizes any water stains. My sink came with this grill that's supposed to protect the sink from scratches, but it also elevates your dishes and pots and pans from the bottom of the sink so they don't sit in the dirty water when the sink gets really full. But I do find it's a bit of a pain to keep it clean. It tends to get gunky a little bit, so I find if I use a stiff brush to clean it out, then it's easier to do as opposed to using a sponge. I'm sure you've noticed my sad looking basil and the dried out gardenia flower at this point, just sitting there on the side of the sink. The basil is from my mother-in-law's garden and the flower is from a friend's garden. I'm keeping them in water in hopes that they grow some roots and so I can plant them and propagate them. They're looking a little sad now, but I will keep you posted on how that works out. I always try to wipe down any water that's around the sink, whether I'm washing dishes or just rinsing something out. If there's any water splatter, I try to wipe it down right away. This prevents any water damage, and it also just looks neater when there's no water stains everywhere. This morning, I also jarred up some bone broth that I started the day before. I like to put the bone broth in jars and freeze it so I can have it over the next few weeks and I don't have to worry about it going bad in the fridge. I'll link the video on how I make bone broth if you're interested in that. At this point, I was trying to see if I can carry all the jars, but thankfully I decided against it. I figured I was better off making 2 trips as opposed to trying to carry everything and end up picking bone broth and shattered glass from the floor. I then finished wiping down all the counters and moved on to clearing the breakfast table. It's always such a rush trying to get the kids ready and out the door in time in the morning, and so I typically find myself cleaning up after them when I come back from dropping them off at school. A friend of ours had gotten us these beautiful sunflowers that just completely brighten up the kitchen, but unfortunately they didn't last very long. I tried changing out the water just to hopefully hold on to them for another day or so. Next, I tackled the family room. I don't know if this is the case with anybody else or if it only applies to my kids. I can never seem to keep the pillows in place. They're either on the floor or scattered about, and so I feel like I'm constantly rearranging the pillows. The kids also love to read. As you can see in the corner there, we have a ton of books. They tend to end up everywhere, but I truly love that they enjoy reading, and I hope it's something that they continue to nurture as they grow up. Something you will also find in our house is, I would say 90% of the time, is there's either stuff at the bottom of our stairs or at the top of our stairs that need to be put in place. So typically my hands are pretty full going down or up the stairs. I was so thankful for my husband's help this day. He was home and he was able to help me. In the morning, he pulled off all the sheets from the beds and then he put them in the washing machine, and then once they were dry, he started making the beds. But he also knows that I like the corners of the sheets tucked in a certain way, and so he left that for me to do. This is our office that we also use as a guest room. We have a Murphy bed that we can just take down and we're having overnight guests, and it's an easy thing to put away afterwards. When the bed is put away, it just looks like a cabinet against the wall. The room can get a little stuffy sometimes because it does get direct sun coming into it all day, and so this light duvet is perfect for guests to use as it's not too hot. Is there anything better than fresh sheets? It must be one of the best feelings in the world when you take a shower after a long day and then get into bed with crisp, clean sheets. There's this gap behind the mattress that I like to fill up with some king-size pillows, almost like a headboard, so that the other pillows don't get pushed back and fall into that space. Eventually, I want to get a proper set of sheets that are completely matching and not clashing with the light blue and the dark red pillows. Also, my little girl was outside playing and she brought a little flower inside for me, which I thought was so sweet. This is when I realized that somebody had decided to make the side table into a scrapbook. So after explaining to my kids that we only draw on paper and not on furniture, I proceeded to clean that as well. Thankfully, with a cleaning spray and a cloth, the drawings came out really easily. The last thing that was left to do was to vacuum the house, and so I started by vacuuming upstairs and then I slowly made my way downstairs. And so that's all the cleaning I had time to do before my family arrived. It wasn't a perfect clean, it wasn't a deep clean, but it was just enough to make our home feel tidy and welcoming. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a comment down below, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. I post a new video every Friday on homemaking tips, cleaning motivation, and delicious recipes your whole family will love. I'll see you guys next time.